This video is sponsored by Cake Wallet, the easiest open source wallet to store Bitcoin, Monero, and Litecoin securely on mobile and desktop devices. When buying, selling, and exchanging crypto or trading for gift cards, Cake Wallet ensures privacy and security, giving you the keys to your coins. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Randi Hipper Show. I'm your host. Today we're getting after it. Is the bull market official, or did it take a little bit of a pause? We're going to discuss that today, so make sure if you're enjoying it, you're already feeling the vibes, smash a like, subscribe to the channel, share the stream out with friends so more people know what's going on here. Guys, we have a goal of 20,000 subscribers. Right now, we're at 18,000. Hold on, here's a live count. 18,432. So let's get after it. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel and following today's guest, Frankie Candles. Welcome to the show. How are you?
What's going on, Randy? Thank you for having me. Super excited. And before we do anything, guys, please, for the love of God, subscribe to Randy. Let's get her to 20K. Come on.
Yes, let's get after it. I'm so happy the stream is working this week, Frankie. Last week we had technical difficulties, and Frankie was like, "Well, I brought the difficulties," and no, it was just YouTube and my Wi-Fi just playing games with us. Golden already gifting 50 memberships to the chat, so thank you, Golden. Shout out to you, fam. I appreciate you. Frankie, how are you doing? How's life?
I'm doing good. Life is good. Bitcoin, to be honest, Bitcoin seems pretty fine to me, but the altcoins, it's always fun. I was saying this the other day on my stream. We are, all the retail is starting to come back to the market when people start freaking out, right? Like we were dumping the other day, everybody was screaming bear market, and then we get the bounce. Everybody's like, we're so back, and you just feel the emotional volatility. But yeah, Bitcoin as of right now, and we'll get into some charts as well. To me, Bitcoin is totally fine. Bitcoin is clearly in a bull market, right? We're in a macro uptrend. Altcoins, on the other hand, obviously are taking quite a hit. Especially ETH has just been super underperforming this year. So, I know a lot of that negative sentiment comes from the altcoins. So, yeah, hopefully we can get ETH to move a little bit here. But I said on my stream the other day, if ETH does, and I'm not saying it's guaranteed, it has to happen, but I would be so shocked, right, if we go through this entire bull market and, if we do get another alt season, if Ethereum does not make another all-time high, I will shave my head and my face. So yeah, that would be so unlikely in my opinion. Not impossible, but yeah, hopefully we can get this stuff going pretty soon.
Wait, was that like a promise that you would shave your face and your head if ETH didn't hit a new high?
Yeah, well, I said, because if we do get another shakeout, right, maybe we see another black swan, it's got to be like a full bear market, right? We got to be in a bear market for a long time, so we know, like, hey, this is definitely the bear market. This isn't some kind of black swan, March 2020 situation. But if ETH never makes a new all-time high in this cycle, that would be insane to me, right? Especially with the ETF and everything. That would just be, insane for me. So yeah, I made that bet because, shaving my face is like whatever. I don't really have that big of a beard anyway. And then I wear a hat most of the time anyway. But maybe I'll be forced to do the stream without my hat, just completely bald.
Oh my gosh, then it'll be like all shiny and stuff. Like, would you buff it out?
Yeah, I would have to go all the way, right? I can't just shave it. I gotta shine it up and everything. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I'd be a good bald person. I got a weird shaped head. So
I don't know how Mrs. Candles would feel about that. Did you run this by her? Did you get her permission?
I didn't, and I did that for a reason because I know she 100% would not approve of that at all. My whole existence is embarrassing Mrs. Candles in front of other people. So yeah, I just she'll walk into the studio one day and be like, why are you bald?
Yeah, then you'll be posting on Twitter that Mrs. Candles is taking a vacation and her hand won't be in the stream for a while.
Yeah, yeah, we might not see Mrs. Candles' hand many times.
Yeah. I want to grab your backstory for people that may not know you, and if they don't know you, then like that's crazy. But like, how long have you been in crypto, and how long have you had the Frankie Candles YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I got into crypto technically in 2016, really early 2017. So that was my first cycle. First coin I bought, I don't actually remember. I could probably pull up the Coinbase receipts, but I'm pretty sure XRP, I want to say XRP and Litecoin were the first ones that I bought. But yeah, actually, funny story. My dad is a day trader. He day trades stocks. So funny enough, right? Like, so once I found out about crypto, so I've always kind of been into like stocks, and like I've always loved the idea of trading and all that stuff. Ever since I was like in high school, right? Like, I'm not going to say like I wasn't trading in high school. You know, now it's crazy. The world is totally different now. Now we have like high schoolers who have like trading discords and stuff. It's a totally different world. But I had always been interested in trading. I remember when I was in 11th grade, I downloaded my first stock market simulator, and I was just playing around with that, and just always was interested in trading. Like I said, my dad's a day trader, but to be honest, that doesn't have as much of an impact as most people would think. Like, I never really talked about it that much. But when I got into crypto in 2016, I started talking about it. I mentioned it to my dad, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I own a bunch of Ethereum." And I'm
Oh,
like, "You
wow.
own crypto?" Yeah, so technically my dad actually owned Ethereum, I believe, before I ever even bought. I was just kind of talking to him about it, and he said he owned it. And then, yeah, and then that's pretty much where it got started. The obsession started. And yeah, and then it's pretty much history from there. I was working, I used to work in TV. I worked in TV for over 10 years. So that was kind of, I went through the whole like on the laptop trying to hide the charts from my boss and everything. And yeah, it's and now to think that, I do this full time, not being only able to trade full time, but being able to have a YouTube channel. If you told me this back then, in 2016, I would have called you crazy. So it is really the coolest thing in the world. I just feel so blessed to be in the position that I'm in. I mean, I say this all the time on my live stream. I wake up all the time and I like pinch myself. I'm like, do I really
Oh.
just get to wake up and trade and then go live and people show up to the live every day? I really do feel, genuinely blessed to be in this position. It's the coolest thing in the world. If you told me this back in 2016, I wouldn't have believed you. I would not have believed you.
I mean, so when you were like, doing that day trading stuff in high school, was it paper trading that you were doing? Like, it was fake money, right?
Yeah. It was funny enough. It was like not far away from when like the App Store first got onto the iPhone. So it's like the options were super
Whoa.
small. And I just happened to see that it was like stock market simulator. And I was like, hey, man, like I'm going to play around with this. And I think I was just always, I kind of like not fell victim to, but I kind of fell for the whole like the reason I was always interested in it is the way that like stock traders are, presented in like movies and stuff, right? Like the guys with the Ferraris and all this stuff. And like, oh, the charts always looked so cool. And, that was pretty much what kind of got me interested in them. Like I said, my dad was always into stocks and stuff. So, yeah. And next time I go back to New York, I got to look for it. I know for a fact I have dated handwritten notes on learning how to read charts, like trading patterns, like
Wow.
ascending wedges and stuff like that. Probably dated back to when I was like in early college or maybe even high school. That'd be really
Damn.
funny to find.
Yeah, you definitely should, and you should post them too, because or actually mint them as NFTs, because I think that would be really sick. And then build a collection off of that, and I think people would really be interested, even tokenizing your merch. Someone was asking that where to get your hat. What is the website to go get your hat for someone that wants to go look into that?
Yeah, FrankieCandlesTrading.com. If you just go to our website, we have tons of different colors. They're pretty cheap too. And we also give them away on our live stream. If we hit like goals, we give a bunch of hats away, so you can always win them for free in the live stream. But yeah, FrankieCandlesTrading.com, you can get them. We have pink. We have all different ones. We have all different colors. They're awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful. Golden, another 50 memberships. Thank you, friends. So when you were in high school, I mean, I guess at that time, like YouTubing was kind of just getting started, and like, the whole, like, I guess content creator influencer game was new. So like, what was it like to be trading back then? Oh, shout out to Jesse for the super chat too. So what do you feel like, what was it like to kind of get into the stock market then in like the digital world?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. Back when even when I was first got into crypto, not even like back in high school, but I guess technically back in high school too. I never, I always say this on my show, like the whole trading space was so different, right? Like there weren't so many different communities that you could join. There weren't as many like YouTubers just solely focusing on trading. And yeah, so it was like much harder. I always say that to people, like if I were starting now, like the resources that people have available, whether it's my channel or my Discord or other people's, like it's a totally different space. The free resources out there are insane. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made was not joining a community, like even a free
Yeah.
community, just talking to people who were trying to trade as well. That might have been ahead of me in the journey. They could have definitely saved me a lot of the mistakes that I had to make if I were doing that. But like I said, I started taking like handwritten notes, like watching like the couple of videos I could find, or I used to go to Investopedia all the time, which is
That's a
basically
good
like
resource.
Wikipedia. Yeah, so I used to just look at that stuff. But then when it comes to like actually, being a YouTuber or whatever, Randy, I would have never ever told you that I wanted to be on camera. Like when I started the channel, I was not worried about the analysis. I was not worried about showing trades. Really, what I was worried about was being on camera. Like I had never,
Oh,
like I said, I had worked in TV, right? So I only knew being behind the camera, editing, shooting, all that stuff. I had never been in front of the camera. Never really wanted to be in front of the camera. And I'll never forget. I was like talking to Mrs. Candles when we were thinking about making the channel, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I kind of like what I'm doing, like, and I just kind of like trading on my own. Like, I don't know if I really want to do this. And thank God I did it, because it wound up being like the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done in my life. Like, again, not only being able to do what I love, but it's really the thing that keeps me going is when we get super chats or even just regular chats on the live stream, and people are like, Frankie, I started watching you, I learned from you, and I was able to pay off my student debt. Or we had someone that was able to buy their daughter a car. That's why I do it. I literally get goosebumps when I hear that stuff. And that's honestly what fuels me. That's what, we don't like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I weren't able to, help people. And that's one thing I think I was kind of missing in my other career in TV, was like, sure, we get to entertain people, but I've always wanted to like genuinely make impacts on people, and being able to teach and then see like a familiar face in the chat like slowly make progress. Frankie, I'm getting wrecked. Do you have any tips? And then they come in, they're like, hey, I tried that tip and I'm starting to make a little bit more money. And then they fall back, but they don't give up. And then eventually they wind up making money. And like just seeing that transformation from like nothing to being able to make some money is like, it is the coolest thing ever.
I would agree, because, I always talk about like why I want to do what I do is to spread crypto adoption throughout the world and empower people to know what it means to be your own bank, to be self-sovereign, and, be in control of your value, since, we know our purchasing power has been kind of obliterated with the dollar. And I mean, I don't know, how much was like a McDonald's burger when you were younger?
Oh God, way cheaper than it is now. I'll tell you that. Me and Mrs. Candles, like, especially for some reason, McDonald's in general is like, I don't know if they're like the Louis Vuitton of fast food, but like when I was in college, going to Taco Bell used to be the place, right? Because you could be a broke college kid with $5 and you could walk away with a heavy bag of Taco Bell. And now I go to Taco Bell. If I go to Taco Bell with Mrs. Candles, we spend like $25-$30, and I'm like, what is going on?
That's ridiculous.
It's
Ew.
out of control. And McDonald's is even worse. McDonald's is even more expensive. It really is crazy. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I remember going to Taco Bell specifically with like $5 and getting a full meal for a college guy, right? And now it's like $25 for two people. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, now ramen's $5, man. Like, you can't even buy ramen nowadays, dude. Like, it sucks. And like, that's why I love In-N-Out Burger, because when I was in Vegas recently, I was like going to In-N-Out. I went to In-N-Out like 4 out of the 5 days that I was there, because I'm addicted. It's so bad. And it was like literally $10 for like a double cheeseburger, fries, and a soda. I was like, oh my gosh, I'll be here every day. But it's honestly my favorite takeout, like my favorite fast food. Is Taco Bell your favorite?
Yeah, I gotta say, listen, my favorite fast food, I did try In-N-Out for the first time when I was in I think it was Vegas, actually. In-N-Out's good. Yeah, my favorite's probably Taco Bell. It's
Wow.
it's the famous fast food where every dish is the same, just prepared differently.
I've actually never tried Taco Bell. Is that bad?
Wait, are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious.
Randy, you got to let me know if you have. First off, yes, you 100% have to go to Taco Bell, and if you do, text me. I'll give you the goated order. Yeah, you gotta get a Crunchwrap Supreme, but you gotta replace the beef for potatoes.
Really? Ooh,
Yeah,
I like potatoes.
Yeah,
I like
me too. And
carbs.
they're like hash brown potatoes. They're really good.
Ooh, see, I love myself some hash browns. Like, that's like my go-to. Like, if I go to a diner or something, I'll get like my eggs, my hash browns, bacon, toast. There's this one place that's near me that has like sourdough bread so it's like not that cheap stuff. Like, it's good.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So one
shout
thing
out
I
to the
miss about
diner.
New York, I have to say, is the food.
Yeah, same.
I'm sure you're feeling that pain too. I think
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I think Florida's probably got a bit better food than Atlanta. But yeah, here they have great fried food and stuff. But like pizza, bagels, any kind of Italian food is rough to find. But Tony
Yeah.
is like a professional chef pretty much. So Tony makes like the best Italian food. So we got a little fix
gosh.
here and there.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I have to come to Atlanta so I could sample Tony's stuff, because you guys always hype up Tony's food, and I feel like I gotta test it a little bit.
Yeah, Randy, I am not a big foodie. Like, I'm pretty much like, when it comes to eating, for me, it's just like a chore. If I'm hungry, I fill my stomach. I don't care if it's good food, bad food. I am so low maintenance with food. So even when something's really good, I'm kind of like, tastes like food. I don't really care. Tony's food blows me away. It's like one of the, other than my mother and my grandmother, Tony's food is, oh my God, it's insane. It really is.
Shout out to Tony. I hope he's in the chat right now. Golden's saying Taco Bell isn't what it used to be. Is that true?
Oh yeah, no. It's totally changed. I agree, 100%. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest.
I feel like RFK is going to come into like all these fast food restaurants and like wipe them clean. I think we're going to see some crazy stuff in the next few years. But I mean, even like, you know, going into like the whole digital era with, you know, having accessibility to the financial system. I mean, what apps were you using to trade at the start? Because I know like I had this founder of eToro and he was saying around like, I think it was around 2008. He was like one of the first platforms to have like SocialFi where you just hop in and you could like trade your stocks, but also have like an online forum to talk to people. What was your experience like getting into the stock world and especially not having to go through like a broker to do it all?
Yeah, so to be honest, like I never really traded stocks that hardcore. But the kind of the start of it, honestly, I mean, with stocks, there's Robinhood is kind of like, although I do not support Robinhood at all. Obviously, if you guys know anything about the GameStop stuff, crazy story. If you have not watched that movie, what is it called? Dumb Money. Go watch that movie. It's amazing. But yeah, when it comes to crypto, I mean, Coinbase in 2016 was like, it was basically Coinbase and then Binance. I got kicked off Binance because I guess the KYC stuff or whatever. So I still have a Binance account that I think I have the original BNB airdrop that they did, which I think was like,
oh, that's OG stuff.
Yeah, and I'm locked out of it. I can't get it. So yeah, and then Bybit, and then we couldn't use Bybit for a while, and then moved over to Femex, and then yeah, now I trade mostly on Femex and Blowfin. But for stocks like Robinhood, but like I said, I wasn't really that active of a stock trader. I was mostly when I was learning technical analysis. I was so young that I in the beginning I didn't really have money to trade with, so it was mostly paper trading and just learning how to trade. And then, but yeah, that's pretty much Robinhood, and then basically just got right into crypto.
Yeah, I mean, when you started learning about like, you know, the charts and everything, was it intimidating to you? Because I feel as though the charts are a whole new language.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, TA and reading the charts is so overwhelming for a lot of people, and yeah, it was definitely overwhelming to me. I fell into every like fake trading guru trap, right? Like, you know, the first thing you learn about is patterns, right? And patterns are useful, right? Obviously. But that was the first thing I learned. I was like, oh my God, all I have to do is memorize these patterns and I'll make a bunch of money. And then you realize like, okay, these patterns aren't like completely useless, but they, you know, they're not as strong as people sell them to be. So I'll never forget that. Like in my first notebook that I was taking notes on learning TA was like ascending triangle, ascending wedge, bull pennant, bull flag. And yeah, it was super. It was, you know, I'm one of those people that like once I find something I'm interested in, I obsess over it. So definitely overwhelming, but I was just so obsessed with it. It was just like day and night, like looking it up, reading about it, watching videos, and then just getting on the simulators or just going on TradingView. Honestly, like one of the most underrated tools that I think people have at their exposure right now is going on TradingView and going into bar replay mode and just going back in time and replaying price action and just watching how price moves, doing your TA and letting the price move so you don't have to wait for the actual candles to print. You can kind of just fast forward. And that's honestly, I think, like where my growth as an analyst and trader skyrocketed was when I started just like digging in on bar replay mode and just staring at the charts and back testing stuff until I couldn't keep my eyes open, just day after day after. I'd probably have thousands of hours in bar replay mode, and that is literally what made me learn 10 times quicker, just putting in the time. It takes a lot of work. You know, a lot of people see someone like me or, you know, somebody might be watching on YouTube. It's like, oh, you know, because of this, and this price is going to go down. And then like they're making a bunch of money, and you don't start there at all. Right. Like it takes a lot. And I think a lot of people they want to watch that 5-minute YouTube video for an easy strategy where they can instantly start making money, or they want the buy and sell indicator. Take it from me. From years of experience, I've fallen into all of those traps. It does not exist. The secret to trading is perseverance and discipline, and putting in the time to learn the skill, not trading to make money, but trading to understand the skill and learning how to figure out where price is likely to go and then managing the risk. That is, you have to put the time in. You know, again, free reach, like even my channel is just like basically a free trading course, but you've got to spend the time to watch all those videos and not just watch them, take notes, and then go back to the chart and apply it. Because no matter how high probability a strategy is, nothing is 100%. There is no easy mode for trading. It's just time. And even now, like I said to Mrs. Candles the other day, like sometimes it does feel like I get on the chart and, you know, it's like, hey, saw this confirmation, let me get in, make some money, and you can print money pretty quickly. But even then, it's not easy, right? You got to manage the trade. Like, is it going to keep going? Should I take profit here? Like, that is really the secret to trading, is risk management and just practice and putting the time in. It's like anything else. Like that's why trading is such a, you know, looked at as such a scam, right? Like, it's a get rich quick scheme.
No.
Sure, people sell it like that, but it is not a get rich quick scheme. You have to put in the time, and I always tell people that should motivate you, because if it were as easy as, you know, just watching one video, you know, you find the God strategy that works every single time, it would be too easy, right? Too good to be true. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And the fact that, you know, me, someone who came out on the other side of getting wrecked constantly, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it takes a lot of hard work, and that should motivate people, because the fact that it takes hard work means that it's legit. So that's what I try to tell people.
And when you finally learn to risk management, like, what are your tips for risk management? Because I feel like some people, they, especially like the other day, right, we had $2.2 million in $1 billion in liquidations in the market within 24 hours. So people are leveraging themselves to death. I mean, how do you like practice using leverage? Like, how do you stop yourself from getting absolutely wrecked and liquidated?
Yeah, so I love that question, because leverage is always looked at in the wrong way, right? Like, people hear that I'm a leverage trader, they're like, oh man, you're super risky, use leverage, you're going to lose all your money. But at the end of the day, leverage is not risky. You could surely turn leverage into gambling, right? I could take $100, turn it into 1,000, put it on 100x leverage, and, you know, swing for the fences and try to get rich. That is gambling. But when it comes to leverage, you can really use it as a risk management tool, right? So, you know, I always tell people, regardless of any exchange you use, especially after FTX and all that stuff, any exchange you use, right? You don't want to hold all your money in one place, right? Because you have to expect, like, even a bank, right? A bank could go insolvent. So you never want to have all your eggs in one basket. But something that leverage exchanges allow you to do, right? They'll allow, you know, for me personally, they'll allow me to enter, you know, a 5 or 6 figure position without having to actually hold 5 or 6 figures on that exchange, right? So you're basically just borrowing money from the exchange to beef up your position size. But at the end of the day, the risk management is 100% the thing that matters, right? So whether I'm on 100x leverage or 5x leverage, I am still only risking 1 to 2% of my account. So if I'm in a 100x trade with a super tight stop loss, right, or, you know, obviously your liquidation point is very close as well, I'm only going to lose 1% of my account. If I am in a 5x position, I get stopped out, I'm still only going to lose 1% of my account, because when you enter a trade, it'll literally tell you on every exchange you use, at least every leverage exchange I've ever used. You set your stop loss, and it'll say, if this gets triggered, you're going to lose X amount. If you just make sure that that number is 1 to 2% of your account, let's just say 1%, you have to lose 99 trades in a row to blow up your account. And that should just give you extra confidence, right? You might lose more trades because you're going to get stopped out, but you literally have to lose 99 trades in a row to blow up that account. When I started, I would just take that small amount of money I had, jack it up on 100x leverage, no stop loss. I didn't even understand what a risk management strategy was. I was basically just gambling. And that's fun, because sometimes you can get lucky. You could turn $100 into $1,000 or whatever it is. But it's not sustainable. You're not going to make money over time. Trust me, I've gone through all those ups and downs, and I wish I could just go back in time and be like, stop gambling. Yes, you got lucky, but you're not trading, you're gambling. It's not going to work. Trading is boring, right? Like, at the end of the day, trading is, you know, you get into a position, you get stopped out. Find another entry, you enter, it plays out, you take partial profit. It might not be life-changing money, but if it keeps going, you'll make some more, and then it stops you out for a small amount of profit, right? It's a slow grind. And the biggest thing I can tell people is, don't chase money, right? If you chase money, it's going to run away from you. Because if you're chasing the money, you're going to get into a position, you're going to be up $100, right? And if you have a $100 account, I know a lot of people don't start with a lot of money. If you have a $100 account and you make $100, right? You doubled your account. That's crazy. Doubling your account is insane. And I know $100 is not life-changing money, but doubling a $100 account is the same trades, it's the same TA, it's the same setups as flipping a $50,000 account, right? Doubling that, right? 5% on a $100 account is the same as 5% on a $100,000 account. So chase the percentages, chase the skill of trading. Do not worry about the money. You're going to pay the market when you're learning. It's basically, it's almost guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
No one just hops on the charts and instantly starts making money. So the more you stop chasing money and you chase the skill, you could always chase more capital, right? If you're doing really good on a $100 account, eventually you'll feel confident enough to load your account up with more money, or you could get a funded account. There's so many resources to jack up your capital nowadays, or you could use leverage. But again, leverage is, I don't want to say use leverage to jack up your position sizes because it's not that simple. But yeah, it's chase the skill. The money will come. I promise. It's not going to be instant, but the money will come if you chase the skill.
I mean, so I definitely want to see your strategies. People are saying the sound is cutting out. I think this might be a YouTube thing. Let me know if you guys refresh YouTube, if that helps. Let me see. Refresh YouTube. Oh my gosh. More freaking. Oh yeah, people are saying the audio is fine. I think it's a YouTube thing because YouTube has done this before. So please refresh YouTube, everybody. Apologies. So if you could show us some charts and show us some strategies that you use, or the indicators that you use to watch out for things, because I remember when I was obviously getting into TA and everything, I was watching Crypto Faces videos for Market Cipher, because I feel like Market Cipher and even things like Lux Algo, all these indicators are so helpful in helping you understand the price movement and why things happen the way they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let me go ahead and share my chart. Boom. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so for the most part, if I, it's funny, I actually said this on my live stream the other day. I was like, if I had, 10 minutes or 5 minutes to show somebody a strategy, what would I show them? And it's very simple. Anybody who watches my channel will obviously know what I'm about to bring up. And that is the volume profiles. And this is the main tool that I like to use. If I were to kind of classify myself as a trader, I would classify myself as like a volume profile trader, right? Or a auction market theory trader, right? And the idea is that we have this tool, right? And this is a volume profile. And when you look at these volume profiles, this is super simple. And again, you can't just watch this 5-second explanation and make a bunch of money, but the idea is simple. And I'll even take some of this stuff off the chart to simplify it, right? The main thing that I look at starting off is this volume profile, right? So basically this tool allows you to select an area of price on the chart, and it will plot these volume bars on the left-hand side of the profile. And it gives you these 3 key levels, right? It gives you a value, it basically makes a range, right? In simple terms, you pull the volume profile, it gives you this range, and you get 3 key levels. You get a value area high, a POC, which is the point of control, and then you get the value area low. This is your range. And you can think of this as inside of this range is the fair value for the asset. So all I do is I take advantage of when price comes out of the fair value. It's very, very simple. When you come above the value area high, I look at this as an expensive price based off the relative price action, right? So inside this range, we come up here. You can think of this as overbought, right? A lot of people know about the RSI. You have overbought,
like a little is it like almost like a local high of some sort?
Yeah. So essentially, right, like in the range, right, you could say that buyers and sellers are agreeing, like, hey, when it comes down here, it's cheap. Let's buy it up. Oh, now it's up here. It's a little expensive. Let's sell it back down, right? Oh, now it's cheap. Let's buy it back in. And all that's happening is price is deviating outside of this range, say to the upside. You could look at this as overbought. And if you come outside of this range and price, you could look at it as expensive. If you can find some entry triggers, right, or bearish confirmations on a lower time frame, which is essentially just the signal that you're looking for to see if it's a good short, right? So you come up here, criteria number 1 is met, right? Okay, we're expensive up here. Now I go down to a lower time frame. I look at the lower time frame candles. I see if I could get any bearish confirmations. If I see bearish confirmations, which would make it likely for a pullback, then I know, hey, we're probably going to pull back a little bit. And then the beauty of the volume profile is if we get that pullback and we start to lose the value area high, this is where the magic of the profile comes in. Once you break below this value area high, it becomes there's almost an 80% chance. A lot of people will call this an 80% setup. Once price comes back below that value area high, it has gone from expensive and it's now entering back into the fair value. So once you get below that value area high, there's about an 80% chance that price will eventually get a move back down to the POC. And then once you lose that POC, you're eventually going to go back down to that value area low. Now, Of course, it's not as easy as just seeing price pop up here, shorting, and it's always going to go back down. It's not that easy. Again, you have to know what to look for in these candles to actually understand that there's a probability that you're going to come down. But at the end of the day, in a simple explanation, if we come above here, I look for bearish confirmations to ride it back into the range, back to the POC, and then back to the value area low. This is a very likely outcome once you break that value area high. And then for long positions, it's exactly the same, right? You deviate below that value area low. Now price is looked at as cheap, and we can look for longs, right, or buy back into the range. And once you get back above that value area low, there is about an 80% chance that you're going to go back up to the POC and then flip that POC and go back up to the high. And then we just rotate these ranges up and down for every dollar that they're worth. And you can see here, like even recently, if I come down to a little bit of a lower time frame, you can see that we've seen this, like, all throughout this consolidation. Price action ranges about 80% of the time. So this gives you a ton of trade setups. And you can see, right, we go from the low, we go right up to the POC. You can see we do get the reaction from that point of control. And the point of control is the strongest magnet within the profile. So once you're above this low, there's a huge probability that you're at least going to get to the POC. It's not a guarantee that you're definitely going to get above the POC and go to the high, but there's a super, super high probability of coming to that POC. So when I'm trading, right, this is actually a trade that we took in my premium Discord. We looked for price to deviate below the low, right? We looked for those bullish confirmations. We got them, and then we got above that value area low, and we looked to ride it up to the POC. This is where I would take partial profit. I'll take my take profit 1, and then once I take profit, I'll either move my stop loss to break even or into profit. And what that does is that makes this a guaranteed winning trade, right? So once we get up here, I'll take a little money off the table because, again, although it is very probable that we're going to get above that, and you can just see how accurate these levels are, right? I know it's probable once we get above that POC and flip it to support that we're going to come and fill the range in full, but the market does crazy things, right? We can never predict anything 100%. So if we were to reject this POC and get another drop to the downside, well, I just get stopped out and I make money, right? Because I already took money off the table here, and with my stop loss to break even, it locks in that profit, right? So once I'm in a position here where I take profit and move my stop loss to break even, I'm actually in that situation right now in a trade that I'm in currently. You can see here, I'm in a short from on Bitcoin here, right? Up $1,600. I already locked in profit. So I already have $600 or $700 locked in. I still have $1,600 or $1,700 unrealized, but you can see my stop loss is in profit, right? So, if this keeps dumping, I'm going to keep making money. And if it rips against me and it stops me out, I already took 600 off the table, and my stop loss is in profit for an extra $500, right? So I'll get stopped out. I'll make an extra $500. And then, if I lose the trade, I win. If I win the trade, if the trade keeps going in my direction, I make more money. So simply, this is how I trade, right? We simply just sit on our hands, and we catch, local scalps as well. But for the most part, I wait for the deviations below the low. I know this is a cheap price. We could buy it back up, get inside this range, look to target the POC, look to target the value area high. And then once we get up here, we simply look for shorts again to get back into the range, go back to the POC, back to the low, so on and so forth. So that is like my strategy in a nutshell. Again, it's not going to be that easy. You have to know where to pull the ranges. I have to know what to look for to enter the actual trades. But and then once you start, this is how I look at the market. And then once you start combining this with Market Cipher B or Lux Algo or any of the other things that we look at, it becomes an extremely overpowered strategy, right? Like the money flow on Market Cipher B is insanely accurate, right? Like right now, one of the reasons why we were looking for a short position, or we were expecting a rotation back into this range to come back down to the low, was because the daily money flow was coming out, right?
Yeah.
And when that money flow is coming out, it's indicating that, price is probably going to continue to the downside. So it is, just combining some of these things. And this is a very simple way to look at the market because it gives you those 3 key levels. And if price is hanging out in the middle, like right now, I am not taking a trade, right? I'm in the short from the high, but I'm not taking a trade right now. I would only be interested in the long until I'm not interested in a long till we come down to this value area low. And I'm only taking the trade if I get the entry confirmations. If I don't get the entry confirmations, I can potentially hold a portion of my short trade from up here. And that short from up here, originally looked at as a range trade, could eventually turn into a swing trade if we wind up losing the range and coming lower. So we don't get bullish confirmations down here. I simply don't look for a long, and I just hold the short for more profit. So it's very simple. I just wait to trade the extremes of this profile. And it's I don't know. A lot of people sleep on this strategy. I don't see a lot of people trading this the way that we do. And I actually saw an Instagram reel the other day. I talked about this the other day in my live stream. And someone talked about this, exactly how I trade it. Someone was interviewing some trader, and they were like, what's the best trading strategy? And he goes, oh, easy. value areas. He goes, just wait till you get above the value area, look for your confirmations, and then once price gets back into the range, there's an 80% chance that you're going to come back down to the low. And that's pretty much my strategy in a nutshell. Again, it's it's much more involved. Like when we look for the entry confirmations, that's where it gets a little dicey, and then managing the trade is a whole nother thing. But in simple terms, even if you're not trading and you just want to understand like where price is likely to go next, I would recommend the volume profiles. And one last thing, the beautiful thing about these volume profiles is not only can you range trade these like crazy, but if we take a look at something like Ethereum, another thing that you can do is you can use this to understand where price is going to go next, like in the long term. So if I just hide these spider lines to clean up the chart here, you can see, right, I have two volume profiles on the chart. I have this one pulled from up here in the 2020, from 2024, right? We ranged around up here, and then we lost the range. And then we started to create another range here. I view this as fair value and fair value. When you impulse out of a fair value range, right? When you imbalance, right? This is balance price, and then when price rips or dumps, that is imbalance. So this is balance, and then this would be imbalance. This would be imbalance. And when price becomes imbalanced, it can only do a few things, right? It's either going to go find new value and create a new range somewhere, but more often than not, it will go seek out a previous area of fair value. So we did this in real time on the live price action, right? Like when we were down here in this range, we were looking at this saying, hey, if we imbalance out of here, right? If we rip out of this range, where is price likely going to go? Well, it's very likely going to approach this lower range. And then we know once we get above this range and flip it to support, there's an 80% chance that we're going to go up to the POC and then back up to the value area high where we could potentially deviate and then look for shorts back into the range, back down to the POC, and then back down to the low. And then obviously if I turn off bar replay mode, we know that's exactly what happened, right? We come up, we hit our head, we flip that level to support, we go to the POC, and you can see we get the reactions off that POC. This is not magic. This is not hindsight, right? We did this live. Obviously, I just used bar replay mode, but we did this live through the actual price action as it was developing. You get up here, flip this to support, high chance you come to the POC, and then deviate again. I mean, you can't make it up, right? People will laugh because I talk about this till I'm blue in the face on my live streams, but it's because this is the best way to look at the market, in my opinion, right? If you have a strategy that works, stick with that. I always tell people, if you're making money, I'm not going to shove my strategy down your throat. If you're actually making money, don't change anything. Don't chase the new strategy. If you're making money, keep doing what you're doing. But this is, and that's the nice thing, right? So the rotation of the whole value area is super helpful as well, because we know even here, right? Like, hey, if we deviate out of here, we imbalance out of this range, where are we likely to go? Well, we have another range right down here. We have some potential value built up here. We might come and interact with some of these levels, right? And you can see these wicks went from the value area high to the POC, and where they get the bounce from. They got the bounce right from that value area low.
Oh,
right? So
shoot.
It's really just sniping the ranges, and yeah, I mean, I could talk about this all day. This is pretty much how I look at the market. And if I had to teach someone how to trade and I only had a few minutes with them, that's exactly what I would show them. And then they'd have to learn through making mistakes, which they are guaranteed to make on their journey.
Wow. Okay. Because what I found like very smart was that if you saw that like you entered a trade, you would take partial profit. So like when is your, so obviously you have your trigger for like pulling that partial profit, but how much of the trade, like let's say you throw in $200, would you wait until you hit like half of that to take the partial profit? Like what is that type of strategy?
So yeah, so this makes the levels where you want to take profit really clear, but that's a really good question. So it really is it's partially, no pun intended, it's partially kind of preference, right? So I always say for simple, like kind of simple setups, right? You would let's say you enter here, get up to the POC, you could take 50% off the table, hold 50% to see if you can get to the value area high. And if you hit that value area high, you got the full rotation of the range, and then you could close the trade in full right there. So enter off the confirmations at the value area low, get back in, go to the POC, take half off the table. And if it does go your way and you fill that range in full, which again, there is a very high probability of that happening, that's where you would take the other 50% out, and you can then just close the trade, and there you go. You just made a really successful trade. Now, the other thing you can do, right, I always kind of explain that for simplicity, right? Just take half off the table, halfway up the range, and then take the rest at the top. But another thing you can do, right, for me personally, sometimes what I do is I'll take you know, depending on the confidence of the trade, sometimes you come up to the POC and it looks really, really good to go back up to the high, in which case, obviously, there's nuances. Maybe I'm like, hey, we're already ripping above the POC. I'm just going to hold and see if we can get to the high. But another thing you can do is maybe take 50% off the table here, or maybe 30% off the table at the POC. And then if you rip up to the value area high and start breaking out, you could potentially hold a portion of that position, right? Because remember, if you're moving your stop loss to break even after you take your first take profit, it's a guaranteed win anyway. So if it goes against you, you're going to make money. You're not going to make as much as if it kept going, but you're going to get stopped out for a win anyway. And remember, the goal of trading is to consistently make money, not make $1 million in one day, right? So so you could take, you know, take partial profit here, and then maybe things look good right here. Sometimes I'll kind of hold off, or I'll take maybe a little bit more profit and I'll leave half of it or so to continue riding to the upside. Famously, not famously, but back in the day on my channel, we took a long here in the premium Discord on the ETF dump at about 39,000 or almost 40K. And I rode this all the way up, and I took partial profits because the idea for that trade was that we were looking at this volume profile here, right? It's all volume profiles. We deviated below the low. We got confirmations. I looked to ride this up into this range to come up to the POC and the value area high, which we got. I took a little bit of profit at the POC here, and then I held about 50% or maybe a little more than that, maybe 75% of that position. And that little day trade, I did not know when I longed here that 40K was the bottom and we're going off to all-time highs. I did not know that, right? All I was looking at this as was a potential range trade, but as the chart started to look good, we got a fake out on money flow on market Cipher B. Money flow kept coming into the green here on the daily. I held it, right? And then that little range trade wound up turning into an absolute grand slam. And then funny, I talked about this last night. And then Bing X, I think it was Bing X, KYC'd, and they automatically closed the position up here. Otherwise, I'd still be holding this position. But that's just like a really good example of a time that, Garrett Soloway said this on my show one time. He said, singles and doubles will make you a millionaire. Going for grand slams and home runs only will ruin your account. And that's 100% true. You could catch a single here, a double back down, a single to the upside, a single to the downside, and then you get a single double, and then it turns into a grand slam. I like to let the grand slams and the running trades hit me by surprise. That way, I'm not chasing the next big move. If you let them hit you by surprise, it's you're not anticipating it. It keeps the emotion out of the game, and this happens all the time. Like even the most recent trade that we took, the recent swing trade that we took from this value area low up to the value area high. I took partial profits at the POC, partial profits at the value area high, and then I closed the full trade as we deviated above. I didn't know down here that we were definitely going to 110K. I think a lot of people think analysts know exactly where price is going to go. That's not the case. I just have a plan, and if it keeps going, I could capitalize on some extra profit.
Wow. Oh my gosh, this is so smart. And no, like I'm learning so much right now. My mind is honestly blown. Even Golden said, if you haven't taken the time to learn what Frankie is talking about, you need to do it because you can make life-changing money. And I do believe that, like, regardless of the money factor or not, just being able to understand the charts and what goes on in the market, because you can watch the news all you want, but definitely learning why price moves the way it does is so important to your crypto and just financial education. I mean, even right now, looking at Bitcoin, what are your current thoughts? Because everyone is panicking over the fact that, we were about to hit 110K. I think we rejected around 109.3 is our current all-time high. I mean, what do you feel right now? I feel like 98K or 97 is a great level of support.
Yeah, for sure. So bull market's over, bear market's here. Wrap it up. I'm just kidding. Don't clip that, guys. I'm just joking. But yeah, so very simply, the way I look at it, obviously, is a game of volume profiles. So I will say this, right? Bitcoin's in a bull market, right? And again, I know this does not really apply to the altcoins. We just looked at ETH, right? ETH is pretty nasty here. God. But when it comes to Bitcoin, we are in a bull market, right? This is an absolute bull market. People who are freaking out about these little dumps to the downside here are, unfortunately, right? And it isn't a bad thing. I did this a million times when I first started, right? They just got in at the wrong time, right? They bought the hype, and then they get the pullback, and they're like, what the heck is going on? I bought the other day, and, now I'm down 17%. Oh, my God. But that's really more, there's nothing from a chart perspective, at least on Bitcoin right now, to be worried about. At least as of right now. We do have some bearish signs on the higher time frames. We have some bearish divergences here on some of the much higher time frames. We have price coming up with the oscillators making lower highs. This is typically a pretty bearish sign, especially on a high time frame. So this could potentially give us a continuation to the downside. Now, does that mean the bull market's over? In my opinion, not necessarily. Doesn't guarantee that the top isn't in. But everybody thought 108 was the top, and I said the same thing. And then, everyone's freaking out. Oh my God, we're going down. 108K is the top. Everyone at the top gets really scared, right? Because it's like you're teetering at this top, and then you start to like slip down. You're like, oh my God, are we going all the way? And what happens, right? We get the bounce, we make a new all-time high. So, from a market structure perspective, this is we're in a super uptrend here. These pullbacks are nothing to worry about at all. This bearish divergence is a little bit of a warning sign, right? We also have a weekly bearish divergence confirmed as well. And we also have the monthly bearish divergence confirming here.
Oh, shoot.
This is not as strong as the other ones, right? This is a little bit of what we call like an exaggerated bullish bearish divergence, where we have equal highs on the oscillator with higher highs on our price action. Again, monthly red dot, does this mean that the top is in? Not necessarily, but it could give us a big pullback. You could see here in 2021, we actually did get the same exact signal, right? We got the higher highs on our price. We got the lower highs on our monthly momentum waves, red dot, and that was the top, right? But this was a little bit of a different spot in the cycle. Now, every cycle is a little bit different. So, I just take this as a trader as just raw information, right? Just because it was the top here does not mean it's the top here. But a bearish divergence and a red dot on the monthly is a bearish sign, right? So it could potentially continue us down. But I give you a really simple way, or at least how I'm looking at this, to figure out if we're in danger or not. Number one is obviously the volume profiles. I just showed this, the same one that we were looking at before. Until we lose this range, I'm not really that worried, right? We have a pretty nice support down here, right? Every time we wick into this zone, we're pretty good, right? If we start losing this range, really at about $85,200, this is where I think a big scare or a big shakeout could happen. Maybe we get a black swan event. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. I think there's plenty of opportunity for a black swan right now. But if we start losing this, $85,000 level, I think the drop down to about 80K is pretty likely. And if people thought that this was the bear market and this was a bear market, imagine what they're going to say here. Now, the good news is we have very, very good support down there. If I pull up my other chart here, you can see, right, if we wind up losing this range, come on down here. We can't get accepted back in for a full rotation, which we always love, right? But it's not 100% going to happen. If we start losing this range, please understand, right? We could wind up seeing a pretty quick drop, especially once you start breaking 87.3, where we have a daily level of support sitting at, right here, 87,350. Once we start losing that, we could potentially start falling down pretty quickly for a couple of different reasons, right? Once we break this range low, we have a lot of liquidity sitting down here. And if you know about liquidity at all, and if you don't, I'm going to teach you, this big wick, well, like you said, Randy, there was a whole lot of liquidations on this drop to the downside where you see these really fast drops down.
Yep.
There's another opportunity for that to happen at $85,000, right? So if we come on that down here and we start breaking this, you might see that big liquidation wick come in. And this is an extremely, extremely strong level or important level of support. We have a golden pocket, an anchored VWAP. We have a ton of support in here. So if we did get that big flush down here, we would hope that we could hold this golden pocket. And at the end of the day, if we were to do that, we could see something like this happen where everybody gets scared out of the market. But really, in my eyes, all this is a golden pocket retracement and an opportunity to put in a higher low and continue the overall macro bullish structure to the upside, targeting up to new all-time highs. And everybody wants to know the line in the sand. For me personally, if I'm going to be looking for a bear market to come, and again, monthly red dot could easily bring us down there. High time frame daily bearish divergence could totally bring us down there. It's not a guarantee, but it could make it likely. But it's really, once we start playing around with this lower zone between about $76,000 and $73,000, that I start to get a little bit worried. And the reason for that is because if we do wind up getting a move all the way down there, we are at risk of getting accepted back into this lower volume profile, which we all know now, if you've been paying attention, if we lose this value area high right here and we get accepted into the range, that's where we could see a much bigger drop to the downside. And in that point, this would be, losing this zone right here, this golden pocket 786 would be a huge sign of weakness, in my opinion. And I would be expecting a very large drop to the downside. The hard part about that is, it's either, right where you're the most scared, right, could be the last little shakeout before the real move to the upside.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a difficult trade down there if we do wind up getting the move. I would prefer not to get down there, but with the way market Cipher B looks on the higher time frames, I wouldn't say this is totally out of the cards just yet. So this is going to be a difficult situation if we get down here. But for me, this is support. I will be looking for longs. If I don't get the confirmations, probably going to go down to some of those lower prices.
Holy sheesh. Yeah, because I was thinking like a bearish scenario could definitely be 75, 76K. And it would shake out everybody and take all the weak hands out. And then, you know, all the diamond hands would still be there. And so you know, because I know the market sentiment is so fragile in crypto because everyone's so bothered right now with the altcoins. And I know you mentioned that before. Are you like a Bitcoin dominance guy?
To be honest, Randy, you know, obviously it's very important. We all know this, right? I don't necessarily use this in my trading very often. But obviously, you know, when it comes to investing, you know, obviously this is a an extremely important thing to keep an eye on, right? So when we were looking at Bitcoin dominance, you know, more recently, we had come up to this very key level, right, which was a golden pocket retracement. Obviously, you know, going to be a fully technical thing here. But, you know, we came up to this golden pocket and we started getting the dump. The altcoin started, you know, doing pretty well. Started looking pretty good, and that could have been, you know, it looked like a pretty nice top here because when we're looking at the charts, you know, golden pockets and 786 retracement levels are very key areas to look for rejections, right? So we did get it at the golden pocket. It started looking really good, and then all of a sudden we just started getting dominance to rip up again. We broke the golden pocket, and now if we continue to see Bitcoin dominance rise again, I will say from a technical perspective, the next real key level to look at is going to be about 66.19%, which would obviously not be a great thing for altcoins. Obviously, on this big wake up, we saw altcoins got destroyed. So if we do work our way up here, you know, 66.19% would be a really, really big target to look at. And then we would hope, right, that maybe, you know, we don't know if we're going to reject the golden pocket fully or if we're going to go for that full 786 before dropping. I hope we don't have to see this, but this would be the next major level to watch if Bitcoin dominance keeps ripping, and you would hope for a strong dump from here, right? Because if you want that alt season, you need this thing to absolutely puke those red candles down, and this would be the next high probability area, in my opinion, to see that happen.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. And so I know you were mentioning XRP before. I know we have a lot of XRP fans. How do you feel about XRP now sitting in around like the 230 range and then actually testing $3.40? But I feel like it was quite a quick rejection there.
Yeah. So funny enough, XRP has been, you know, again, based, you know, looking at volume profiles, you know, we were looking, like you said, you know, these volume profiles are also very good just to understand where price is going to go in the long term. You don't have to you don't have to use them to day trade or anything like that. You could use them for long-term moves as well. And actually, if I, let me see if I can pull up another chart here real quick. I think it's this one. XRP has respected these volume profiles perfectly as well, right? So if I pull up XRP here, let me see if I can move this. So yeah, you can see here, XRP, we were looking at XRP at 60 cents on my live streams talking about, hey, like if we break above 60 cents, guys, this thing could really start to move because this is a value area low. And like I was just explaining, we know once you get above that value area low, very likely you go to the POC. And then once you get above that POC, very likely you come up to that value area high. And this is an example of the volume profiles being able to call just larger moves in the market, right? Like this is a macro move. Like, hey, if we break above this level, we're probably going to get a move to that value area high. And then if we break above that value area high, we probably have another value area that we could look at, which we didn't, or I guess, yeah, but we may have. I don't have it on this chart, but you know, you have other value areas that are likely to come get respected. And here's XRP filling that whole range, and now we're starting to create some value up here. So the question is, where is this thing going to go next? And I'll tell you what, I have a lot of friends and family that sold a lot of their altcoins that were not performing when XRP started to rip, and they decided to sell. A lot of them decided like, hey, I'm going to sell all my other coins and jump into XRP. The problem with that was XRP was had already ripped, you know, 500%. So then they, you know, did the whole thing. Oh my God, I'm scared. We're dumping. I'm going to sell. And then it started ripping. They buy. And then it dumps. They sell. And then it rips. They buy. And then it dumps. And then they sell. And they just eat up all their money. But right now, I will say this, right? XRP has had a massive move to the upside, right? From wick to wick, about 600%. Right. So pullbacks have to be expected here. Right. So, you know, I'm not really worried about this at this moment. Right. We've already gotten a 600% rip to the upside. This little pullback is really not very worrisome in my opinion. Now, I do have some levels up here right? We kind of wiggled around up here in this volume profile. And then again, right, once we lose this profile, where is price likely to go? Well, it's probably going to come into a previous area of balance, which we had back here. And price comes down, gets accepted into the range, goes back to the POC, goes back to the low, huge liquidation wick, back in, back to the POC, back to the high. We come above. This is where you're expecting, hey, it's a little bit overbought here relative to the recent price action. You get back into the range, and right now we are losing this POC, right? So I'll tell you this: we actually looked at this last night on the live stream. This 786 right here, sitting at 233, is a key level of support, right? If we're not going to come in here and put in a higher low and yoink off to the upside here, and we lose this 786, I'd say it's very likely to get a push down to the value area low, where we also have another golden pocket confluence at 213. So locally, I would say, not impossible if we lose this 233 level that we could come on down to the value area low at 214. And then down here, naturally, right, I have to be looking for longs. This is support. I would be looking for longs back up to the high. And then we look at the higher time frames. Again, I will say this, very similar to Bitcoin. You have pretty high time frame bearish divergences here, right? You got a 6-day bear div, higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves, right on this green candle. This is where you're looking at price saying, hey, could get a pullback here, and then you get the pullback. Now, the question is this going to continue? Well, if we come on over the weekly, you have a confirmed bear div, and on the monthly, we are about to print a red dot as well. So I wouldn't be surprised, right? Money flow actually looks pretty decent here on the monthly, but if that red dot prints, just like on Bitcoin, I have to look at this as a bearish sign, and could potentially bring us down a little bit more. Now, how low could we go? Very naturally, I'd be looking probably down towards this value. Actually, I could probably pull it up. On the other XRP chart. Did I get rid of it? I think I got rid of it. But yeah, I would just be looking down to probably this lower profile here. Boom. We have a value area high sitting right here at about $1.33. Would this be worrisome in my opinion? Not quite, right? If we pull our fib from the absolute low to the absolute high, you have this would definitely be a strong support. Or an important level that I'd be looking at, right? Because this is sitting between $1.52 and $1.32. And if we wind up losing this range, where am I going to be anticipating price to go? Well, I know if we imbalance out of here, it's going to seek out a previous area of balance, which is simply starting right down here. So if we lose this range, I'd be looking to come down between 150 and 133.
Shoot.
And then if we get stuck in this range, that's probably where we're going to go closer down towards that POC and 786, getting into the 90s and 80s. But again, doesn't guarantee that we have to come down here. But if we did get a big drop on XRP and we lose this range, I'd be looking down here as far as the next key level of support. And I would say long term, this could be a healthy pullback, right? Because this could just be a golden pocket retracement. And in the long term, right, this would just kind of continue your bullish market structure with your low, your high, your higher low, and your higher highs. So I know a lot of people get scared down here, but from, you have to zoom out. After a 600% pump, I'm not saying I want a 50% dump on XRP, but, you have to anticipate these pullbacks. Nothing go up in a straight line forever.
Exactly. No, I'm 100% with you. Thank you so much for sharing these charts today. Oh my
Of
gosh.
course.
I've learned so much from you today. Like, my mind is actually blown. Guys, I want to know, how do you guys feel about today's chartery? Do you guys feel like you've learned a lot from Frankie Candles? Because I know I have. And so I know that, crypto shocks people every once in a while. And so we have Dogecoin sitting around 25 cents right now. And what do you feel about Dogecoin and Department of Government Efficiency? I mean, a meme coin that was created as an absolute joke is now a huge part of our government.
Randy, I feel two ways about this. I feel part of me lights up inside, right? Like, this is the coolest thing ever, right? Like, we in crypto, we've waited for this for so long, right? We went from like, oh my God, the government hates crypto, they're going to ban everything, to now we have, we have the Doge, we have Doge, and not only that, right? You have the president of the United States releasing meme coins, and it's like, oh my God, like, this is crazy, right? And you know this, right? I know you've been around for forever, if not longer than I have. This is what we've been waiting for. However, it also does make me kind of think, seems a little bit like a top signal. So again, I don't want to spread fear and say that like this is the top of the bull market, right? I genuinely don't fall in that camp right now, because I stick straight to the technicals, and at least for Bitcoin, we haven't broken any macro structure or anything like that. But president releases them in hindsight, right? Like, going through multiple cycles, like looking back and being like, what, where did we go wrong? Like, why did we not know the top was in? And then you start to think to yourself, like, Well, meme coins were going crazy. We had this crazy news. Bitcoin was on the news. My barber was talking about crypto. All these top signals that are so easy to see in hindsight. This time I'm thinking, if we looked back, if the top was 110K, what would we think to ourselves? We'd think, well, hey, there were high time frame bearish divergences. The president made a dang meme coin. There's Doge in the official government. There's Hawk Tua rugging meme coins.
Oh my God.
I mean, there are a lot of things that have me a little bit worried sentiment-wise that in that case. But again, I stick straight to the charts. And again, sure, we have those bearish signs on the higher time frames, but until we start breaking that macro structure, I'm not that worried. So it's kind of mixed feelings, right? It's exciting, but also kind of like, all right, like let's calm down here a little bit. Let's not get too euphoric because that's kind of how they trick you, right? Oh my God, JP Morgan says Bitcoin's going to 500K. Boom, 69K is the top, right? So
yeah.
You got to always be on your toes.
Yeah, always be on your toes, friends. Please make sure you're smashing the likes and sharing this out. Someone sent a $2 super chat saying you're the GOAT. And I agree 100%. I mean, as people are liking and subscribing and things, I just wanted to ask you too, like, what do you think we're gonna have an alt season? Because everyone's so down bad right now, and even like people are saying, okay, Trump released the meme coin, that was cool, but people said Melania killed it, like killed the momentum completely.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, this is cool. Trump made a meme coin. Get out of here, Melania. You're not cool. Get out of here. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, right? We could always use past cycles to, study the future, right? We could look at the past and say, history doesn't always repeat, but it oftentimes rhymes. Yep. And, we've done very good like that on my channel, understanding, right? You can't just take it for, it's not going to play out exactly like it did last cycle, but we can learn from the previous cycles to try to make predictions. And listen, this is, if anything is very clear here, this is obviously a very meme coin heavy cycle, right? Like this is the pump fund cycle. And it did suck a lot of liquidity, right? Like we have all these meme coins. I don't know the number. It's like, X thousands of coins are created every single day.
Ridiculous.
And it does suck a lot of the retail liquidity out of the real utility coins. And, in my personal opinion, this is not financial advice, I do think eventually that focus will shift back to actual projects, actual utility. You have the thing with Trump saying zero capital gains tax for US-based cryptos. Maybe that helps out. Again, if you go to CoinMarketCap, there's a section that shows you US-made coins. That's a great place to start looking for dip buying, right? And I do think that focus will come back at some point. But I kind of I love the meme coins. People out there making money, of course, that's awesome. But it's kind of like it's just like the degeneracy kind of pulls the liquidity out of the actual project. So, that has affected things. Did it kill the traditional alt season? I'm not sure, right? We haven't seen that big dump on Bitcoin dominance like we typically see in a cycle. So until we see that and we see what runs, I think, once maybe we get up to that 66% dominance before we see that big dump and then the real altcoins start to go. But until we get there, it's really, really hard to say. It would be super depressing, right? If because here's the thing, right? People make money in meme coins, but 99% of people lose money. So it's like, it'd be really depressing to see like the traditional all season stepped on for the meme coin degeneracy where everyone's just getting rug pulled left and right. It's just bad for the space and it just kind of stinks, right? Because you don't get that traditional alt season. So me personally, if you're asking what I'm doing, I still hold all my utility coins, right? I buy meme coins as well, but I'm holding my bags. I haven't sold any of my alts and, I'm prepared if things go to zero, right? Or we go back into a bear market, I'm prepared to handle that risk. But, it's really hard to say. We have to see what Bitcoin dominance does. So if we get up to that 66% level, hopefully we can get that dump and see the utility coins start to run. But I think the meme coin sucking the liquidity out really has kind of hurt the alt season, how we've traditionally seen it happen. It's very similar to NFTs.
I agree. Yeah, because I do believe that this could be a cycle where the Dino coins make a comeback. Like we've already seen XRP. I believe maybe Litecoin will see some action because of the ETFs. And so I do think that this cycle is very different. And everyone says all the time, this one's different, this one's different. But I truly believe it is because now we have so much government involvement and there's going to be a lot more regulation. We might have a lot more crypto businesses opening in the US again, which I believe will give more people accessibility to the market, especially Operation Choke Point 2.0 was horrible. Like you were even saying before how you had access to all these exchanges and then one by one they started to dwindle out because the United States was just so against crypto. So now I feel like if people have access to the market, that's more liquidity in the market. So we might have more activity there. So I think that we could see a definite different type of scene this time, at least. Golden says, when I found Frankie candles, I completely stopped trading for 6 months because I realized I needed to relearn everything I knew. A huge thank you to Frankie for changing my life. And so I feel like I've seen a lot of those types of comments in the chat. You very much are a great educator, and you have like really good energy, which is why I love having you on the channel, because honestly, it's so hard to find people that are just real genuine people that care about what they do. And I really feel like you give a sheesh a little bit. I was gonna say a bad word.
I feel the same way about you, Randy. I mean, we were talking about this before. It's hard to find, especially in crypto. Crypto's a super money grabby, grifty, scammy space, and that's kind of what like I try to go against, right? And no hate to anyone just trying to get the you notice, right? Bull market comes, there's a million crypto YouTube channels, there's a million TikTokers that come out, and most of these people at the end of the day are just there and hey, get your bag. I'm but that's just not what I stand for. For me personally, I have to be making a positive difference to be able to sleep at night, and
Exactly.
you know what? That's why I don't launch my own meme coins. I don't I don't do any of this stuff because I genuinely it's getting messages like that from Golden that really is the reason why I like to get up and do this every single day. But yeah, I feel the same way about you. We like to find those genuine people.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love to, do what I love and all those types of things.
Love
That's
it.
why I have this painting here. Shout
Is
out
that
to Sergey.
from? Yeah, that's the guy in Miami, right?
Yeah, love him. Everyone,
I've been to his studio.
Yeah,
that's
I was gonna
awesome.
say, oh my god, I love his studio. If you guys ever go to Miami, look up the Do What You Love artist, and then you'll find his name, Sergey, and you go to his studio. It's literally like in this bodega type thing. It's so freaking cool, and he has everything like shoes, clothes, paintings. Look at him up. You could buy his paintings online. I definitely recommend it because you want good energy like that. Like he actually gave this to me, and hold on, and it has like he said like thank you and like all these things on the back and gave it to me. So I appreciate
awesome.
Yeah, he said to my friend. So he's a beautiful person, and I love Sergey. So everyone, do what you love. I think that's like one thing that I would love to share with people is just do what makes you happy. And I feel like if you're happy doing what you're doing, then like good things are gonna come to you, and like what goes around comes around. I'm a big believer in karma as well, and so I believe that like you're gonna like be so successful, and like you're already so successful, and so I think a lot of people do look up to you, and I look up to you too because I think you're a great person, and I hope that like we could all be like Frankie when we grow up.
I appreciate that, and I'll tell you this. If that is true, I will say this. Just understand that something I don't really ever talk about this, but something I struggle with a lot, like throughout my whole life is probably, up until, I started pushing myself a lot more or had really good people around me that pushed me to do bigger stuff. If you told me I was doing that, I would be doing this 5 years from now. And again, not even like the trading part of it, but being on camera, having a YouTube channel, I would have been like, I don't know about that. Right. Like I was super nervous. Right. Cause I was like very, struggled with like, having like the confidence to like just go in front of people and what if I get hate, all this stuff. And I would literally not believe you if you told me I'd be doing this. So if you're out there, whether you want to be a YouTuber, baseball, whatever it is, please understand that I'm not special. Like you might think, yeah, but that's not going to happen to me. I thought that too, right? Even with trading, like, oh, I'm not going to be the one that figures it out, right? I thought that too. And again, if you don't believe in yourself, or get around people who will believe in you, because that's really what happened to me. Was I even had people be like, hey man, I don't know who told you that you weren't good enough, man, but you're smart and you work harder than anyone I know, and you can do really good things, and I'm gonna push you to do it. And because I at the time couldn't do it for myself, and it's people like that. If you can't push yourself, or you don't believe in yourself, please, for the love of God, get around people who will believe in you. Because in hindsight, I look back at myself and I was like, why didn't I think I could do this? This is crazy. But it's kind of sad that you need someone else to tell you that. But it's important, get around good people, because if you're around, again, this is super corny, right? But like, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I truly believe in that, right? Like, you got to be around positive people who are pushing themselves, that will, and if you don't believe in yourself, find people who believe in you, because I promise you, there's nothing special about me. I wasn't a good student. I hated school. I was always looked down at, like, not looked down at, but like in my family, I was always trying to do a business, right? I had jobs here and there and stuff, but like I said, I worked in TV. That was very gig-based. I was always trying to do a business, right? And people are like, hey, man, when are you going to get a job? Like, when are you going to figure it out? Everyone's buying houses and stuff. Like, what's going on? You're behind. And I always felt so bad about that. And just don't stop. I think to myself now, thank God I didn't listen to those people and stop doing what I wanted to do, because eventually, I always say this, when you're digging in the dirt and you're getting tired and you want to stop and turn around and go home, it usually means that one more hit of that pickaxe is where you're going to find those diamonds. So right where it's hard and you're slamming your head against the wall and it feels like you want to give up, you're literally probably right there. So please, for the love of God, if you take anything away from this, just keep doing what you feel is right and don't listen to anybody else. You might lose. Alex Shamosi says this. This is the last thing I'll say on this. He says, when you do something that is out of the ordinary, right, or extraordinary, right, people will say, oh, man, that business isn't working, right? Oh, wow, still not working, right? And they're going to be right every time until they're not, right? They're going to be right almost every single time. And then eventually, when you hit, they're going to, instead of asking you why you're doing it, they're going to ask you how you did it. And that was my exact experience. And it took a long time. It took 1,000 cold emails. It took 1,000 tries at a business that failed. So just don't give up. Believe in yourself. You're much better than you think you are. And if you don't believe that, find people who would tell it to you.
Yeah, and I kind of went through somewhat of a similar experience, but I started this when I was 17, and I was bullied a lot in high school, and I actually had to move from one high school to another, and it didn't get better when I did. And people like always thought I was super weird. I was that nerd in the corner. Like, we were on iPads, and people would come and take my iPad and steal my homework, or I was like, doing study guides, and people would come up to me asking for the study guides, and I had no friends in high school, really. Like, I had some friends for a little while. And it was a real struggle, and people thought I was weird. And, people made like fake Instagrams about me and just like crazy things. I would get no caller IDs for years, even after high school. I was getting no caller IDs, bots making fun of me. And I was just like, especially when I started Miss Teen Crypto, I wanted to do like the school news network, and people were like, definitely don't do that because you're getting like torched already. Like, if you did that, it would be horrible for you. And then I was like, you know what? Like, maybe I want to start a YouTube channel or do something like wild and like go into crypto. And people were like, don't do that. And I did it anyway, because I was like, if people don't understand me now, they're never going to understand me. So why not do that? And I even had, when I started Miss Teen Crypto, I was like, had my cards, and I was putting my QR codes everywhere, and I had teachers coming up to me and everything. And one time my guidance counselor came up to me. He was like, Randi, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, why? And he was like, because the teachers are talking about you, the students are talking about you. And I was like, they just really don't understand what I'm doing. And one day they will. And then like, he was the only person that believed in me. And he was like, Randi, like, I truly believe you're going to make it. And it was just like, that one guidance counselor is the person that got me through high school, because sophomore year I transferred in, and I was so like down on myself. Like, I was not the same person. And he was like, Randi, like, we're gonna get you to that graduation. Like, we're gonna help you cross that finish line. And it's like, when you have people like that just back you, it gets you through. And I just, when I started like doing Miss Teen Crypto, like, I just wanted to tweet. Like, I didn't think anything of it, and people thought I was weird, and I never thought like people would actually like me. And then, all of a sudden everyone just started to like, give me support in this space. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go like full fledged on this thing. I was even a dental assistant, when like for 2 years about. And like, my bosses didn't like me, but like, they started to not like me because I was in crypto and I wasn't giving them financial advice. And I told them, like,
of course,
like, they would walk in the office and ask everyone how their weekend was, but look at me and be like, don't tell me, because I don't want to hear about crypto. Then 5 minutes later, ask me about like, oh, can I tell you about this shitcoin? And like, I was like, no, if you don't want me to talk about crypto, like, let's keep it separate. And that got them so mad. And so I was just like, that is not it. And so I had to go full-time crypto, and it definitely pushed me to do that. And ever since I did, I've just, been pushed. Like, every single time I've been feeling down, and I go through so much. Like, I've seen, like, I tell people all the time, I've seen the best and the worst of humanity, and it only pushes me more to try to do good in the world. And so I'm happy that, like, at least now we have like this community to where, like, now I'm planning my birthday freaking party on YouTube. And I'm like, and now I have them and this family that we've built together, and that just means the whole world to me. I'm like gonna cry. I'm so emotional. Like, it's just like, this space has done so much for me. It's changed my life, and now I want to help other people change their lives.
Absolutely. I always say this on my channel. I said this in the beginning of my channel. You have to, and you seem like you went through a very similar experience, which I would have never guessed, Randy. If you asked me to like think about what you were like in high school, I'm like, oh, you're probably like the popular girl. And
No.
it just goes to show, right? This is why I always say you want to get around good people, right? And I said this in the beginning of my channel. You know, chances are that where you live in your hometown, people in your high school, whether you're college or job, whatever it is, people in your hometown. This is a small amount of people, right? The world is huge, and we know that because we have YouTube channels. We reach the entire world, right? And you could go from a situation where everybody's hating, right, in a small circle because everyone, you know, everyone knows everything about everybody, and then you know you get out of your hometown or you get on the internet and you get exposed to more people and you realize how big the world is. And a lot of times you have to get out of that small circle to go find your people. Yeah. And I feel like I did that on my channel. Obviously you've done that on your channel, and it's crazy how things can just flip around. It's like, wow, I feel like everybody hated me before, and now like I go on my channel and people are like, oh, this guy's awesome. He helped me out so much, and I'm like, me? Really? And it's the coolest feeling, and it seems like you had a very, very similar experience. So I always say find your people, and sometimes you got to have a YouTube channel to do that.
Yeah, it's nuts because I had family coming up to me too, like, oh, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? So no college, huh? What are you doing, huh? Or are you making money? And I'm like, I literally asked them, like, whenever they're like, oh, you're making money, I'm like, does it matter if I'm happy? And like that, and whenever I would ask that question to them, they would get very defensive because especially to like certain parts of my family, it's always about money. And like, you know, obviously starting a business is not easy. Like it's not going to come right away, and you go through very hard times. And so you know, it's just wild to see like, you know, the reactions of people that just don't get it and don't, like, in a way, they're not caring about you the way they should, and supporting you. Like, emotional support is everything, because that's where you could start building success, is where you have people that back you. And when, especially the people closest to you, don't believe in you, or they abandon you, or they do some things to you that you're just shocked that they would do, it's just pretty, like, it wakes you up to a lot of the world. And that's why I appreciate waking up in the morning and doing this. And Golden's reading the chat, which is making me freaking emotional too. And he was saying, smash the like, it's free. And also Jesse saying, I'm proud to be your like police, to Frankie. So thank you.
Yeah, let's go.
But yeah, please make sure you guys are smashing the likes and subscribing to the channel. Please
subscribe.
Follow. Yes, please follow Frankie. I'm pasting his YouTube link in the live chat. It's also in the description. We have a goal of 20,000 subscribers by February 14th. So we're 9 days away from there. And I hope we can make it, because my birthday party is going to be on the 14th. My birthday's on the 16th, which is a Sunday, so we're going to do it on Friday. So nice. I'm very excited, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Frankie is so inspiring. He's such a good, kind-hearted person, and it's so hard to find that in this crazy world. So bing bong to every single one of you. Please follow him, smash the like, subscribe, and share. Where else can they find you, and what links should they check out?
Yeah, you can just check out everything's really accessible through my YouTube channel, Frankie Candles, or you can go to the website, frankiecandlestrading.com. We have everything on there. But yeah, I mean, just check out the YouTube channel. I really focus on free value. Like I said, you know, I have a paid Discord, but I really like to give as much away as I can for free, right? A lot of the strategies, you know, I try to teach, you know, the whole goal of this channel is to give it the best free trading education. So really start on the YouTube channel. You'll find the rest of this stuff when the time is right. But just go to the YouTube channel, get some free value, learn about how to read the charts, and start making money trading Bitcoin, whether price goes up or down. And subscribe to Randi. Let's get her to 20K. Let's get her to 20K.
Yay! Let's go. Pump it up, everyone. Thank you so much. We're actually 7 more likes away from 200. So make sure you're smashing the like, subscribe to the channel, and share. And tune in to Frankie's live stream Monday through Friday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, guys. Have a beautiful day. I appreciate every single one of you guys. See you guys later on Frankie's stream, and I will see you tomorrow, as I'm always live Monday through Friday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern for the Daily Zest. Get your daily charts and news, but mostly more chartery from Frankie. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Get your sauce, brew it up, make it simmer a little bit. Add some pasta in there, you know. Have a great day. Bing bong, hasta pasta. Was that good, Frankie? Did you approve of that?
Yes, that was awesome. Subscribe to Randi. Thank you so much for having me on, Randi. This was awesome. I appreciate you so much, and keep being awesome. You're such a sweet girl, and you add a lot to this space, and we're rooting for you. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you too. We're gonna grow together and become one nice saucy family. All right, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. See you later on Frankie's stream. See you tomorrow morning, and as always, stay zesty. Hasta pasta. Peace. Bing bong. Bing bing.